There are places I remember all my life, though some have changed, some forever, not for better. Some have gone and some remain, but these places have their moments for lovers and friends. I still can recall, some are dead and some are living. In my life, I've loved them all.
Thanks for coming out tonight. It's amazing that 2 years has already passed since we were last here. Kind of reminds me of that old story or that old saying, life is kind of like a roll of toilet paper. It tends to go slowly at first, but gets going so fast towards the end. So it's hard to believe. I just wanted to repeat a little bit of history, just so you kind of know what our committee was thinking of. Every 2 years, the committee that consists of some pastime honorees, previous honorees, get together and go through a list and each submit different names that they think should be nominees for that particular decade. And I want to just quote one of the requirements of that, say it, read it so I say it right. These candidates must have a history of having distinguished themselves through exceptional personnel or professional accomplishments in such a manner that reflects positively upon Wyoming Alpha SAE and the University of Wyoming. Now, if we really want to be honest with ourselves, we probably can all think of about a few nights back in our 4, 5, 6 years of being SAEs that we probably didn't really reflect positively on the community. And I guarantee you these two nominees we're going to name definitely did not. But we're going to focus on the big picture. Majority of the time they probably were behaving properly, and that's why we're going to recognize them tonight. As I said, we're going to pick two. We went through the process, had several candidates, tough decision to go through them, but in the end, these two really are exceptional. And they've been nominated by other committees in the past, and they've actually declined. And the reason was these are the two brainchilds that really came up with the idea of this evening. Sitting around one night and talking about what we should do is put this together. And then they came back every year when somebody would nominate them, they say, we don't think it's fair that we came up with this and that we should be a nominee. But the committee, we sat down and we said, we're not going to put up with that this year. We're going to tell you that you don't have any choice. We want to recognize you just for that alone that they came up with it. Let alone their accomplishments in life, we felt that it was time. Our committee this year with previous honorees, Bart Troutwine was on this, Lindsay Hooper was on this committee, Rick Tempest and myself. Unfortunately, and the two nominees this year are Dick Rich, who unfortunately could not be here tonight, and also Vince Malinowski. So what we wanted to do is recognize Dick anyway for some of the things that he's obviously done. And we talked to Dick, and since he couldn't make it, he's got a bad back and can't seem to travel. He did name a couple people to come up and accept for him. Of course, I'm sure they're going to probably say a few things about him. And then after that's over with, I'll come back up and we'll take on Vince and roast him just a little bit. We got a lot of ammunition on both these guys, so bear with us. And thank God there wasn't social media when all of us were back in those days, because we might not have been here today. But I'd like to ask Bart Troutwine to come up now and tell us a little bit about Dick.
I'm really honored to be able to talk about my friend Dick Rich. And before I do it, I just want to say, I was listening to Paul speak, and I was really impressed with a lot of things he said. But I just want to say something about brotherhood and the friends you make in college and in the SAEs. And we have a whole group here of people who graduated in the late 60s and the early 70s. And the great thing about our group, I call it our group. Great thing about our group, they come back each and every time we have one of these, and we get more and more of them coming back, and I'm really proud of these people. And I think our group is really unique. Now, we didn't win the Mosley Award, I'll guarantee you that. but we did have people who have done amazing things in life and have remained friends and strong friends and have supported each other for the last, well, in some cases over 50 years. And so I'm really proud to be part of this group. And I was asked, Dick asked me if I'd come up and say a few words about him. Dick, as Chad said, Dick and Vince were the ones who got together and thought we ought to start having something like this. A get together every other year, a reunion where we had certain brothers who had done good things in life be recognized by the whole group. And Dick, when he's a Wyoming boy, he was born in Cheyenne, raised in Pine Bluffs until he got to high school, went to Green River High School. And for a lot of years after our group left, I would hear when we went over the SAE house, like after homecoming stuff, I would hear that they were still singing GRENRIVER. And that's one of the things Dick brought to the house. And it went on for many years after that. Dick, in his time at the SAE house, he was the president of his pledge class. He was the pledge trainer. He was eminent archon, and he brought a lot of really great songs to the University of Wyoming. And I was really proud to have learned a lot of those. And if you want to hang around afterwards, we'll probably sing a few. But anyhow, Dick, when he left school, his first job, and this is kind of amazing where we are, his first job was as the manager of the Laramie Elks Club. And he always said this was the greatest job to have to boost a successful career. And he talked about it all the time, right, Rick Tempest? And it's he used that as a springboard. He got in purchasing. He's a purchasing manager for the state of Wyoming, for the city of Pittsburgh. He was assistant commissioner for purchasing management for the city of New York, and then he went to work in Tampa, Florida, for Seminole Electric, which is one of the largest electrical cooperatives in the United States. And he was with them for nearly 30 years. And in his time, he was the head of purchasing for Seminole, and then he was the risk management administrator his last few years. And I asked him, well, what was that? And he said, well, actually, all it is, he says, I was a compliance officer. He said, I wrote all of the protocols for compliance for all of the federal regulations that we had to follow. And I said, I'm glad I didn't have that job, because it would have been tough to sit there and try to figure out any kind of federal regulations. But in Dick's time at Seminole Electric, he was an enthusiastic member of the National Association of Purchasing Managers. And in that position, he was the president 1 year. He was the chairman of their foundation. He won the award one year as the purchasing manager of the year, and then we're talking about the entire United States. And in one of his last years, he won the Shipman Gold Star Award, which is kind of a lifetime award, a lifetime achievement award. And Dick has done a lot of things, and he always told me, he said, God, he lived in Florida for the last 36 years, and he said, I kind of miss a lot of what you guys have. And when he's talking about the guys he was talking about, my group, a lot of us have had season tickets together for nearly 50 years at Wyoming for football games. We go to ball games mostly to see each other. We want the Pokes to win, but we want to see each other. Dick's always said he wished he had that. And one of the great things I think Dick did for this group, well, he and Vince got together and got this entire thing going. And for that, he and Vince both deserve a lot of credit. And it's my great pleasure to introduce Colin Keeney, who will accept this award for Dick Rich.
Thank you. As Bart alluded to, some of us who spent our own active chapter days with Dick see this as a pretty kind of a bittersweet moment. It's fantastic that Dick has won this recognition, but it's a damn shame that he's physically unable to be here to pick it up for himself. And I feel greatly honored that Dick asked me to act in his stead for the reception of this award. I've known Dick since we were both in the 10th grade at Green River High School. He's one of a kind of a character. I have 54 years of Dick Rich stories. He said I could tell one, because if I get started, we'd be here all night. He also specifically mentioned 4 I could not tell. But see me in the lobby after this is all over. Things happen to Dick Rich that just don't happen to other people. And very often he brings these things on himself. Sometimes it's just fate, but sometimes not. So, for those of you who don't know Dick or have never met Dick, he's a large person of considerable girth. So much so that in the past few years, when he's flown commercially, the airline presents him with one of those seatbelt extenders. I don't know if you're familiar with those. It's just what the name implies. It's an extra length of seatbelt to fit around people of a certain girth. And it's like it has the buckle on one end and the tab on the other, and you fit the respective ends into the existing seatbelt, and you've got room enough to be buckled in, okay? So that's been sort of a fact of Dick's traveling life for the last few years. Now, for some reason, he's flying somewhere. He has to go to the restroom. Now, most people would just disconnect one end of the belt, right? Just as you would the normal seatbelt. For some reason, Dick undoes both ends of the seatbelt extender, gets up, steps out in the aisle, realizes he has this piece of equipment in his hand, right? So he winds it up and flips it into his now empty seat. Hits the guy sitting next to him right in the balls. That's the Dick Rich I've known for 54 years. He's a one-of-a-kind guy. He really is. He really does deserve this award. As Chad said, his first response was to decline the award because having helped form this event, he thought it was like he should not be considered. But he definitely has deserved the award. Now, this is brief. Don't blink or you'll miss it. I've been in pretty regular communication with Dick over the last several weeks. And he worked very, very hard to keep this brief but to the point. My brothers, ladies, and gentlemen, I can't thank you enough for this recognition. It means very much to me. It also means a great deal to me that I received this with Vince. My affiliation with Sigma Alpha Epsilon has been the basis for any successes I have had in life. To now receive this acknowledgement from you, my brothers, is the highlight of my career. This is a social event. I do not want to cloud the evening with words. Suffice it to say, you've made me very happy. Thank you so very much. Phi Alpha.